So, have you ever wondered why some people get so many video views and you're struggling just to get a few? Well, today I'm going to share with you exactly not necessarily why, but one core strategy that can keep your videos not only getting more views, but ultimately keeping people sticking longer when they are watching your videos. Just one simple thing is what we're going to focus on today. So not only am I going to share the one simple strategy, but I'm going to share some like terminology, however everything has its own little speak. We're going to talk about what some things mean, and then I'm going to give you some resources on how to do what I'm going to share you should be doing today. So as you're coming in, just give me a shout out. Where in the world are you? And instead of what's the weather like where you are, how about what's the time where you are? I'd love to know where in the world you are, kind of thing. Time always is a good indicator of that. Thanks so much for the comment on my glasses. I appreciate that. They've become quite a statement, part of my brand. So we got Jeffrey from Nebraska, and we've got Ann from snowy Cleveland, Florida. Yeah, I'm in Florida too. So it's 1 p.m. here. And then we've got Helene from Sweden. Helene, what time is it where you are? I'm just curious. Jim from Columbia, Ohio. So he's East Coast time as well. Rhonda from Virginia. Mary Jo from Rockville, Maryland. Holly, Nashville. So I guess Central time there, right, Holly? And aloha, 8 a.m. So it's early over. Hey, Lori, good to see you. One of my favorite places is Hawaii. And then we got Amy. Hey, Amy, good to see you. Good to see you. All right. And Vegas, baby, there you go. Will do. Ronald is amazing. Ronald, for those of you who don't know, Ronald is on my team here, and he is incredible. You may have spoken to him if you ever have a customer service request, because he is our customer care rep here. He's awesome. Holly, Orman, Stormy in North Carolina. Hey, Jenny, good to see you. And then we got Barbara. And she says it's 1 where she is. So she's East Coast time, I suppose. Seattle, 10, I'm assuming 10 a.m. Yep. Minnesota. Oh, I'm so sorry, Brenda. Oh, wow. -44 wind chill. That just makes me cold to say it. Oh, my gosh. Well, I want to welcome everybody today. Like I say, we're going to be talking about video primarily and how you get more people to not only pay attention to your content, but stick and stay and get all the way to the end of whatever it is you're trying to share with them. So let's see, we got Veronica from Southern California. Wonderful. As you guys are coming in, thanks so much for sharing with me. I love to see you, and see where you're at, and have a touch point with you. So I'm really appreciative of that. Okay, so I'm going to just dive right in. So let me just do a little bit of rearranging here to make sure that I've got everything pulled up correctly and hiding a few things so that we can see everything. So give me just a second while I hide all this. Okay. So you should be able to see me, and you should be able to see my screen. I got a little presentation, if you will. I always feel like there's a value to being able to see what I'm talking about versus me just telling you stuff. So I thought I would put this little presentation together so that you guys could not only, like I say, see it, but visualize what I'm talking about. Okay, so like I shared with you before, video is huge right now. We need to be creating video for our businesses, guys. And it can be all kinds of video. It can be live video, which I'm a huge proponent of. And whether it's live video or whether it is, pre-produced video, I feel like that there's value in what I'm getting ready to share with you. And that is captions. Captions is my one wicked smart strategy for you, but I wanted to explain the different types of captions, and then I wanted to make it easy for you to do captions, because lots of times captions can be hard, or at least you think they're hard. So my role, and one of the things I feel like I'm good at, it's my zone of genius, is sometimes taking those complex things, finding either resources or explaining it in a way that turns it into something that's doable, simple. I try to simplify complex things and make them doable. So those of you who may not know me, my name is Kim Garst. I'm an online business strategist. I love helping people shorten their learning curves and ultimately leverage the power of digital and social media to up-level their business. Okay, so why is this important anyway? I mean, why do we need to be paying attention to captions in particular? Well, guys, most people, in fact, 85% of people, and that's standard, by the way, pretty standard across all platforms, with the exception of Snapchat. And I kind of find that interesting. Most people listen to Snapchat videos with the sound on, but on other social platforms, it's about 85% of people don't listen to the videos. They read the captions. And I would love it if you guys would tell me, if when you are scrolling through your social channels, how do you engage with video content? Do you actually watch the video? Or, I mean, I'm sorry, or obviously you watch it, but do you press the play button and listen to it at the same time? Or do you just read the captions? Now, I'll just share my, what I do real quick. I, for the most part, just watch the captions, period. And I'm just seeing if what everybody's saying. Curious, please drop in a comment and let me know. Do you listen or do you watch? Read. Do you read or do you listen? Okay, so Brenda, you're in the minority. You actually listen. And then this is a great one too, because sometimes I do this. We've got another that says, oops, hang on, pulled up the wrong one. Veronica says she reads the captions, and if it looks good, then I play the sound to get the full effect. Sometimes I do that too, but the majority of the time I listen. I mean, I read. I'm sorry, I got to keep my visual cues here going. So most of the time I do. So some say listen, some read the comments, watch by myself, but usually read due to atmosphere. Jim, that's another great point. I wanted to really capitalize on what Jim said, because in some cases we're in situations when we're consuming content, but we don't want everybody else to hear what we're listening to, right? So we just read it instead of, pressing the play button and listening. For example, if you're like sitting around with your family, as one example, or if you are in a workplace or in a social setting, you may be consuming content, but you might not want everyone else to hear what you are engaging with. So like I say, a lot of people, in fact, about 85% of people read captions. So I think it's super important for us to not only be cognizant of that, but to plan for it and put our content out there in a way that most people are consuming it. I think that's just smart. Would y'all agree? I definitely think we need to pay attention to this. But even bigger than that, and I think this is really important, because I said this before, we want to make sure that we not only want people to, whether they're reading or whether they're listening, at the end of the day, we really want them to complete the video, right? So about 66% of videos without subtitles may be watched. On average, that's about average. And sometimes that's just a small percentage. Like, they'll just start and they'll watch just 3 to 5 seconds, right? But when you have captions, about 91% of people watch the entire video. Whoa. That's a stunning statistic. And one, again, we need to know, because we need to be planning and be proactive around how we present our content to people so that we get the most bang for it. I mean, why create content, period, if you don't have a strategy behind the content? And this is a part of your strategy, in my opinion, is to leverage the power of captions to get more exposure for your content. And it's, we can't just, I do this, I'm guilty of this. So what I'm getting ready to say, I will say sometimes I'm guilty around this, is sometimes we judge what we would do from a strategy standpoint based on our own actions. But the stats don't lie. The numbers don't lie. Whether or not we turn on the volume and listen most of the time versus what the majority do, we really need to be planning around what the majority are doing. And that way we hit we have all our bases covered if we are cognizant of how people consume content. So that's another value add I think we need to be aware of. And did you guys know that our videos, especially ones with captions on them, have SEO value? And those that don't, well, don't have SEO value. So just saying, like if your videos are on YouTube, for example, then Google is going to prioritize ones with captions because they can read that. That's text. Versus just list, of course, there's a lot of AI going on over at YouTube right now. This dynamic may shift, but right now, this is where we are. And I love this. It's such a great point. Helene is saying, as a non-English speaking country, we are so used to having captions on all of our videos. Such a great point, because sometimes, people need to be able to see it. They might not, a lot of countries will teach English in schools, but the nuances of how we speak might not be as easy as them being able to consume it in the written word. And sometimes it's the reverse. So again, you're checking all the bases when you have both options available for people. That's such a great comment. So glad you brought that up, Helene. Great. Yeah, great point. Okay, so let's talk about some lingo when it comes to different types of captions. There's what I call subtitle captions. And here's an example of it. It's basically just the little black box down at the bottom, and it has, whatever's being said on the screen at that moment in that little black box. And there's a number of ways that you can get that for free. So that's always a good thing. Who doesn't like free stuff, right? So one of those ways is, oh, hang on. I had it up here. I must have got things out of order. Give me just a second. Let me get things in order. Nope, I got it out of order. So I'm just going to tell you, and then we'll go into the next one. But there are ways that you can get your subtitles or your captions done for free. Like if you do a Facebook Live here on Facebook, Facebook now has an AI-generated caption generator. Now, I don't think it's awesome. I think there's a lot of cleanup that has to happen, and I personally don't use it myself, but I'm going to tell you what I do use, so hang in there with me. YouTube also has an AI-generated caption creator for videos that are on YouTube. Even if you are not going to make that video public on YouTube, you can also upload it to YouTube and get the captions created, that kind of stuff too. So there's some dynamics there, but I'm not a big fan of either of these solutions, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. So bear with me. So there's subtitle captions, like I say, with just a little black box at the bottom of the screen. And then there are what's called burned in captions. And as you can see, this is Marcus. Goodness, I'm having a brain cramp on Marcus's last name. But anyway, he's amazing. Great, great gentleman, fabulous story. But he does a lot of videos on LinkedIn. He may share them other places, but I primarily see them on LinkedIn. And he has a title up at the top, and then he'll have his, what's being said underneath. And these are burned in. They're not, as you can see, you can make them different colors. You can make them bigger. The little subtitle boxes can sometimes get lost, I think, in the video because they're smaller. There's just that little black box at the bottom. This is a nice representation because, like I say, it can be bigger. It can be branded to your color schemes, all of these kinds of things. So that's what's called a burned-in caption. And there are tools now that allow you to create burned-in captions. So hang in there because I'm going to share them with you. So hopefully this is making sense. I'm going to tell you, Lisa. So Lisa's asking the question, but I'm going to give you the scoop on both of these because there's some different things that you can use for both of these styles. So let me give you some tools here. We're going to go over some of these. So going back to the subtitle captions, like I said, you can use the Facebook and the YouTube. It's all AI driven, meaning some little computer somewhere, or maybe some big computer somewhere, is listening to what we say and putting it out into the world, creating a version of what we said. Sometimes it's, in fact, I don't think it's awesome, because as we speak, we either have to have we should always have a really good mic when we're creating video. But if you don't say things exactly the way it reads it or picks it up, you have to do a lot of cleanup, and that takes a lot of time. So I'm not a big fan of wasting a lot of time on this stuff, but it still needs to be done. So how do you do it more efficiently? All right. So there's a couple of resources that I'm going to share with you. Now, Otter, it's OTTER.ai. Otter is, I think, better than both Facebook and YouTube's AI, but it's still not awesome. You're still going to have to clean up some verbiage a little bit, and then be able to get a really good representation of what you said. As you can see, it is .ai, so it is automated. In other words, it's a computer somewhere listening to what you say and hopefully translating it back in written word. Another resource is, before we move on, let me share what the cost of this is. And this is pretty clever. And it's a great way for you to try it and see if it's a solution for you. Some people articulate more clearly than others. That's not me. I'll just be totally honest. I'm not always a great articulator. My brain operates faster than my mouth, so I sometimes circle back, sometimes in the same sentence, and it's not always awesome what comes out on the other side. I've just learned to live with that. But you can try Otter for free. There's like 600 minutes a month. If you don't do a lot of video, 600 minutes is a lot of time. So I would definitely, absolutely try Otter and see how it works for you. So let me give you a couple of other suggestions, because I'm going to share what I do. And what I do has multiple purposes, because ultimately time is valuable. And if we don't calculate that into the equation, one, we'll find that we're not taking the time to do this strategy, which defeats the whole purpose, because we don't have the time to slow down to go back and clean up our captions, right? So you'll just say, well, I'll just put that piece of content out with no captions, because you just won't make the time. So one, you got to do something that you can do consistently. So for me, because I know this is a problem, I go a different route. I personally use another tool. And the reason that I use this tool is because, like I said, it's twofold for me. Personally, like I said, I'm using rev.com. And you guys can go check that out. It is an affiliate link. I'll be totally transparent. You can go directly to rev.com, or you can go to kimgross.com/rev.com. And the reason that I recommend and use rev.com personally is because I get a transcript at the same time that I'm getting my SRT file, or the subtitle file. And the reason that I want the transcript is because we transcribe everything, use it either as a blog post, or we do clips, snippets for additional video content, or there's a myriad of different reasons that we need that physical transcript, the text of whatever that video had to say. We use it in a lot of different ways. So when we do the request with rev.com, we say, hey, listen, we want the transcript. In other words, transcribe this video. And then we also want that SRT file. Can you make sure you give both of them to us? Lo and behold, comes back within a couple of hours, and boom, I have it. I don't have to sit around and try to weed through 30 minutes worth of AI generated video snip or captions, wading through it, correcting anything. Rev.com is done by a physical person. It is not AI. So a lot of like filler words, mispronunciations, all that stuff is fixed before you ever get it, which is, to me, worth the money. to invest in Rev.com. Right now, Rev.com is $1 a minute. So it's not super cheap, but what is your time worth? You have to calculate that in. And so I'm a huge fan of, I love this. So Paul is saying, aha, big aha moment. Forgot to tell you guys this. See, Paul's been with me before. If you have aha moments, guys, please type in #aha. Jim is saying, love it. Yes, like I say, I'm a huge fan of Rev.com just because it is, it's multi-purposed for me. We use it for a variety of different things. So huge fan. That's what I personally use. But again, my goal here is to give you as many options as I possibly can, let you figure out what works best for you, because you may find some of these other tools that I'm getting ready, not only what I've already shared, but what some others that I'm getting ready to share with you will have more application or be easier for you personally to use. All right. So next up, I wanted to go into these burned in captions that we talked about. And this is kind of a fancier look, but one of the things that we're doing, I have an agency as a part of as well. So one of the things that we're doing is repurposing content for others, mostly live video shows right now. And we have been doing some really clever things with creating great videos that have burned in captions. They look a little fancier, a little more professional, but anybody can do it. I mean, we're doing it with Premiere, but there's tools out there today that can do some cool things, maybe not exactly what we're doing, but there can be a lot of really neat content built through tools today. So as I shared before, Marcus Sheridan, there you go. I remembered his last name this time, is got these cool little videos, headline at the top to catch your eye, and then the subtitles are down under. This is all branded to his business and looks super nice, right? Would everybody agree that this looks super nice? I think this is a cool representation of content. It's a great way to repurpose content, if you will. And that's exactly what these are. These are not full blown, hey, I'm going to sit down and, share 30 minutes or an hour's worth of content. These are snippets. They're small cuts of a larger video, if you will. And so one resource that I have for you is quick.io. Quick.io, in all transparency, is fairly new to the game, and they are really evolving fairly quickly. Pretty nifty little tool. They have a lot of different variations of how you can make your content show up. In other words, your captions can be, different fonts, different looks. I highly recommend that you give them a go. You can use them for free to start with. And if you haven't checked them out yet or have never heard of them, don't feel like you're out in la la land because you've never heard of them, because they're fairly new. But they're a great little resource. I would definitely check them out, is my point. All right. Another resource that I have for you that does the same thing that we've just been talking about, where there's the headline at the top and then there's your subtitles are underneath. And as you can see, one thing I forgot to mention is that video piece in the middle can be sized for a variety of different sizes. It can be sized for Instagram. It can be sized for Facebook or, square, oblong, landscape, whatever. There's different variations and different size variations that you can use with all of these tools. But Subtitle is another interesting little platform. It does exactly the same thing. And it is a free to paid tool. So you can try it for free for one video. And I highly recommend that you do that. Just upload one thing, play with it, see what it does. And if it's worth it and you feel like the outcome on the other side is something that is going to give you value, then invest in it. It's $19 a month. So it's not ridiculous. $19 for 10 videos a month. Or if you're all in and you're doing a ton of video, then you might want to go with the elite plan. But this is an interesting little tool. Check it out. You can check these things out for free. Why not, right? And then another huge strategy that I'm a very big fan of is automated captions as we speak. So what that means is you can actually create content and captions at the same time. And there are a couple of phone apps that I want to talk to you about that allow you to do this. So if you have an iOS device, or AKA an iPhone, then I'm going to recommend a couple of resources for you. Excuse me, I have this nasty cold that I can't seem to shake. My voice is almost back to normal. I still got a little rasp going on, but it's not as bad as it was. So as you can see from the screen, when you're talking to the app, for lack of a better way of saying it, so that you're not talking to yourself, it automatically turns everything you say into live captions in the moment. And those captions can be, they can look different. You can do some clever things within the app. As long as you hit them, once you hit the record button and you speak clearly, it will, of course, create great captions for you. You can also edit those captions, which is also a neat thing. So if you misspeak or you mispronounce, or you want to take out a word somewhere, you can edit those, and it's all done right within the app. So it's called Clip-O-Matic, Clipomatic. You can find it in your Apple store. So let me see. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Liza. I appreciate it. Okay, so that one is one suggestion I have for you. Next up is another little resource. Some of you may have heard of it before. This one does essentially the same thing with a few other bells and whistles. So it's called Apple Clips. You can be like a talking head with your captions on it, or it will take your video and like cartoonize it. And there's some filters and some other stuff. So it does some other things. And again, try it. It's got some neat features. Recommend you give it a go, see if you like it. All right, next up is what happens if you don't have an iOS device, or you are on an Android. Sorry, I know there are still people out there that love their Androids, but the reality of it is that many times when there's great new apps out there, they are created usually on an Apple device first. And sorry about that, but what happens if you don't have an iOS device? Can you still do this? And the short answer is yes. I was able to find one Android app. There may be others, but this is the only one I was able to research, and that's something called AutoCap. And it's pretty basic, but it allows you to do the same thing, where you can record your video and have your captions created at the same time. All right. Well, that is basically what I wanted to share with you guys today. I wanted to not only talk to you about how necessary captions are, but I also wanted you to not only understand the differences between the types of subtitles, or captions, if you will. There's, like I say, just the subtitles. Then there are burnt in captions. And then how do you do both? Which look are you after? And I would speculate that there's no right answer to that when it comes to saying for sure that, hey, one's better over the other. I think that's a personal decision. And I would even suggest that you could do some of both, depending on what makes the most sense for you and your brand. One of the things I love about the burnt in option is that you can control the size. You can control, the brand colors and things of that nature. And, I do think that looking good is half the battle. But more importantly, I would love for you just to commit to doing captions on all of your video content, because it does matter. Okay. So Jeff's saying, what difference have you noticed in your video views since adding captions to your videos? A huge difference, honestly, Jeff. So many more people engage with the video too, I found, when I have captions on it versus no captions. So I highly recommend adding captions. The only place that I don't do captions, as a quick aside, is on YouTube, because I think most people on YouTube do listen to content. But I, in all fairness, when I say that, I haven't tested it yet. Okay, so Brenda said, how do you combine the subtitle file into the video to upload to YouTube, etc.? Brenda, all of these platforms, well, when I say all, well, LinkedIn I know has it, Facebook has it, and YouTube has it. There's a place where you upload the SRT file. So let's say, for example, you go over to rev.com and you say, Rev, hey, I want you to do my transcription and I want the SRT file. Then when it comes back to you, you would just take that SRT file and it's going to look a little gibberishy to you. But when you upload it to your video on YouTube or on Facebook, it works. And there is a place for it, and it's clearly marked. So you'll be able to see if you go into the back end to upload all of these, in the upload section area. Even after live videos, I can go back in and edit and add the SRT file if I want to. So there is a place for it. All right. Any other questions? So Cassandra's saying, thank you. That was awesome. Good, good. Like I say, guys, take these resources and go try them out. I mean, most of them have a free component, so you can at least give it a go and see if it makes sense to use them. And then Bruce is saying SRT captions can be used by platform. Thank you. Yes, I love that you mentioned that. So just really key in on what Bruce is saying, guys. Captions can be used by platform for translations as well. So if you have a bilingual community, or if you are trying to target specific demographics or different things, there's some really cool things that happen these days with captions. All right. So Daryl is asking me, what tool am I using to broadcast? Today, I'm on StreamYard. On my Monday show, which is a little bit more formal, if you will, we're using vMix for that. And I have a guy who produces that show for me. But today, I'm solo. I'm doing all this all on my own and managing the pieces and parts with this amazing little resource, StreamYard. It's kind of like, there's several of these. There's like BeLive.tv, StreamYard. I've kind of moved to StreamYard. It's super simple, easy to use, easy for me to manage. So we're all good there. So another great question, Jeff. Which works best for you? Right now, we're doing a combination of both. We're in the middle of really, and you'll see a lot more of this in my channels in I would say, well, literally any day. Today, in fact, we just started with our new burnt in caption repurposing strategy. So we're taking a lot of my live shows that I'm doing and repurposing those into smaller snippets of content, and they do have burned in captions on them. So you'll see those showing up in my socials as of today, in fact. So we're really getting a little bit more proactive with the burned in stuff. It does take like I said, we're using Adobe Premiere to do this, but most people don't have it or don't know how to do that. So my resource, my hope today was to give you the resources that you can do it on your own without having to have some fancy piece of equipment. But again, hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. This is a great question, Taylor. Can you do bilingual Facebook group and use this concept? I would love Bruce, if you have the answer to that question, I would love it if you could pop back in and answer this question, because the short answer is I don't know. That is such a great question, though. But I know Bruce is a video guru, so he might be able to answer this question. So Bruce, if you are still here, and if you know the answer to this question, if you can do the bilingual inside of a Facebook group option, can you let us know? My first thought is, Taylor, and my out loud thinking is this, that you could do two different videos, same video with captions for each language. That might be an option. Well, I know that would work. But Bruce so far hasn't come back, but I'll see if I can find out. That's such a great question. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I hope this was value-based to you. I hope you learned something. And more importantly, what I hope you take away from this is that captions are a necessity, and you go implement them in your videos. All right. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you on Monday at 10 a.m. If you can join me, I'd love to have you. We have a really special guest. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn. And my special guest is Melanie Dodaro. And if you don't know Melanie, well, and if you haven't heard all this buzz around LinkedIn lately, join me because she's going to be dropping some golden nuggets about LinkedIn. I'll see you guys on Monday. Take care. God bless.